Good evening, folks, and welcome. The Bill Crane Report is on the air.
All right. I know you missed us.
With Chris Gleason and Dwayne Weiss. We're here to have some fun, talk about issues, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to waste a bunch of time warming up here. I'm going to get right to it because I got about 5,000 things to talk about. So off we go. When you get tired of listening to me, interrupt.
Okay, I'm interrupting.
Wait a minute.
I was just going to do the same thing.
You're both bad. In 2009, Fort Hood, Texas, Major Nidal Hassan,
Nice.
wearing an Army combat uniform and shouting, Allahu Akbar, God is great, shot and killed 13 people and wounded a couple of dozen more.
That's right.
He was shot and is paralyzed from the waist down and is in a wheelchair. What is his status? So, this has been bothering me for a long time, so I went to the internet and asked the question. He was found guilty and sentenced to death in 2013. He has stated he welcomed the death sentence as a pathway to martyrdom. It is predicted that the automatic appeals will take decades.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is, to this boy's thinking, madness. I say, if he welcomes the death sentence,
Hey,
and it's a
so
step to
be it.
martyrdom, who are we to deny him
That's
the
right.
pleasure? Put him in front of the firing squad and let him have it.
I agree. I totally
Yeah.
agree. I believe that there's certain times that that's appropriate. That's what should be done.
And by the way, I've said this before, I'll say it one more time. Of all the ways we execute people, the firing squad is the most humane. A shot to the heart kills you instantly, or as close to instantly as we can figure. We don't know what time the lights go out in the brain, but it's almost instant.
Well, the system it's a shock to the system.
Sure.
And your whole system, if you don't kill immediately, your whole system just shuts off
Shuts
like
down. Yeah.
I heard that there was someone who was sentenced to electric chair and they had to zap him 3 times because it didn't go through.
Oh, that's possible.
Now that's possible.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the electric chair is not
No,
without its trouble. And the chemicals that they pump into. Now, by the way, that's another thing that drives me crazy.
Why does it have to be a certain type of chemical?
Yeah.
Why, when you go for surgery, they put you to sound asleep. Well, just
Bingo.
zap it in.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, this is madness. I mean, we have to use this chemical and this.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 3-part deal so he goes to sleep comfortably. Give me a break. His victims didn't die comfortably.
A few months ago, I had colonoscopy.
Yeah.
And they're using total anesthetic now instead of that
That's exactly
Twilight
right.
chip. And they gave me fentanyl. Man, I watched 3 drops fall in that tube. Boom, next thing I was waking up.
Yeah.
I
Wake up,
didn't know-
Mr. Weiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all over.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
They could have done anything while I was sleeping.
They might have.
They might have. Well, they did, obviously.
Well, anyway, I think we ought to write to our congressman and demand that this death sentence and this pathway to martyrdom for this guy take place. So there.
Like Arkansas was using their supplies quick before it expired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was going to go out of date.
This is an interesting story out of Pequannock County, Township, New Jersey. A lady that runs a flower shop was going to the cemetery and picking up the flowers on the recently buried folks and bringing them to a shop and reselling them.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about...
In 2nd grade, one of the students used to walk by the Franklin Cemetery, pick up the flowers and bring them to his teacher.
Well, at that age, they probably don't know any better. But then again, maybe they
They
do.
do, yeah.
But anyway, they set up a camera, and she went right to the graves. Bingo, unbelievable.
Recycling.
Yeah,
Yep, that's right.
a few minor things here. I get stories. I get everything here. I'm going to tell you that I cringe when 99% of the advertisements come on TV. I mean, I want to stick an ice pick in my ear or something. I hate them. But there's one that's great. And that is Frankie with the Italian Hero sandwich on the Subway ad.
I don't think I've seen that.
All the Italian people are, Frankie, what do you got there? Mortadella, oh, Frankie. And finally, one old Italian guy, looks like the Godfather, comes and sits beside him on the front stoop in obviously a Brooklyn type of atmosphere and said, Frankie, you've done well. And the lady that's hanging out the window yells, Tony, come here and see what Frankie's got. And it just goes on like that. It's hilarious.
There are some very creative.
Yeah. People. I go to the gym up in Franklin, the YMCA,
Okay.
and the front desk, the Welcome Center, had a young lady by the name of Jen Corey, I believe her name was. And she was sparkly, effervescent, friendly. You enjoyed walking in there and showing her your badge and all of that. She remembered your name and, well, Jen was there for like 2 or 3 years. And she'd get to know you but all the people that worked for her acted the way Jen acted. She said, talk to people, interface with people, not just bap, thanks. Jen got a better job. She's into Harvard University now and I don't know what the deal she's doing. She got married, moved into Harvard, moved into Boston, got a job at Harvard. But the people that have replaced her, it's about as much fun as going to a wake now, walking in there. It's like the land of the living dead.
I got to give a shout out to you talking about people.
Yeah.
Last Thursday, I thought I had to go to the RMV, or I used to call it the DMV, and you'd rather get a root canal than go see them people. We went down to the one in Attleboro. It's in the basement of the town hall courthouse there. There was 2 people working, and they were friendly. They smiled. They talked to you. Honest to God. I got called. My number got called. I got there. I had to take the restriction off my license. It said corrective lenses. So I went down and changed my license, and I didn't have the right form when I went up there. Instead of like, I got the wrong form. Get up. The guy says, go back and get that one right back there. He says, just come back. And he just waited till I come back and talking about how you doing. Really friendly, really nice. And the other woman that was there, the same thing. And the people that were waiting were friendly too because they set the tone.
Sure, absolutely. Jen
They
set
greeting
the tone.
people when coming in and, thanking you for coming in using the registry there. There was one sour apple, and that was a state cop, an older one, and he was grouchy. He must have been there to do the driver exam things.
Well, either that or yeah, that's probably what it was. Now, they don't love that.
Oh,
We used to have a town clerk. Now, I'm going back now 200 years,
Yeah.
the dawn of civilization. But George F. Campbell, and he had a general store. If you look across the street from the fire station and police station, there's an older home and an old, decrepit, falling down garage
yeah, there is.
beside it.
Yep.
Okay, that was GF's general store, the falling down garage. So when we got the Sunday papers, we'd drive up there. Billy, run in and get our papers. Yeah, all right. You know, they'd give me the money and I'd go in. It was always the same thing every Sunday. The hell do you want?
Yeah.
Miserable old goat.
Oh, he wasn't kidding.
Oh no!
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was it. That's how he treated everybody. The hell do you want?
I had an account like that. He did it to be funny.
Yeah. Still. GF wasn't funny. The French election. Marine Le Pen and Emmanuel Macron. Has that much ado about nothing? That was in the papers, and oh boy, and drama.
They
and-
tried to hook that into the perils of the Trump election.
Yeah, in the EU.
Yeah.
and It was sort of like a balloon busting, but it didn't go bang. It went psst,
Didn't amount to anything.
nothing. Well,
It's going to be interesting. He's not going to change much now. I think she would have.
yeah.
She would have been a kind of a loose cannon. there.
Yeah, but you know, she probably would have found herself in the same position Trump finds
Yeah.
himself
All of a sudden,
in.
you're going to have to
I
moderate.
want to make changes, but boy, oh boy, I'm finding my hands are tied in a lot of instances. He's going to back off, work with these clowns,
Oh yeah.
and grit his teeth and say, this is what I've got to do. And then dust them off later. By the way, here's some advice for the Trump administration. You'd be well advised to dust off the old IRS scandal, indict Lois Lerner, and convict her and give her about 30 years in Danbury prison. I think that would be fair.
I don't hear anything wrong right there.
Oh,
I agree with you totally.
good. Here's a question for you guys. Will Barack Obama go down as the worst president in history, or will Jimmy Carter continue to hang on to that title?
Well, see, I never looked at Carter as the worst president because I wasn't judging him on his performance. He was kind of a milk toast.
He was ineffectual.
Ineffectual, but he didn't do much harm either. You know, he was
That's
just
true.
he was just there. And
Didn't cover himself in glory
No.
with the hostage crisis. In
no,
the
but he
Middle
didn't really.
East and,
Yeah, because he was a
yeah, weak
warm
need.
water type
Yep.
person. Yeah, because you remember they kept the hostages until Reagan's inauguration.
Yeah,
When Reagan said I do, bang, they kicked him right out the door.
that was it. Put them people on a plane.
Yeah, because we'll be crispy critters here in an hour.
That's right.
I think Obama did a lot of good things for the environment and other things, so I wouldn't put him down as the worst.
Oh, he's not the worst, but he's certainly not the savior of saviors that some people think he
Well,
is.
I think he was a disaster as far as foreign policy.
Oh, absolutely.
was
We
concerned.
lost prestige worldwide, everywhere, with everything.
You know, the Democratic Party really blew it with Obamacare. Instead of saying, all you had to do was say it to the Republicans, work with us. Let's sit down and see if we can
Fix
make a
the bad parts,
compromise
yep.
that you folks and us folks can agree to, but they didn't.
Nope.
They took the hammer in the hand and went whammo.
Well, the defensive bristles came up in the back of their necks, and they weren't going to admit making a mistake.
A la carte cable. Will we ever get that?
You will. You either will or streaming will take them over, so it'll be too late for them to do it.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I watch 8 channels, maybe
Me too. I was just going to
Yeah.
say 8, 10, maybe
10
10,
channels.
12. That's
and then
it.
once in a while there'll be something on the NHL channel or MLB channel that I'll find interesting. But I mean, 15 channels, absolutely tops. That's all I need.
There's 40 or 50 that I have never, ever clicked on.
Oh, I know.
Maybe by accident. I pressed the wrong number on the control.
Yeah. Yep.
I think their days are numbered, especially with streaming and on demand.
That's what Patrick tells me, Joe, my son. Yeah. He knows all this stuff.
You can't beat it. And plus the cable, I gave up cable. The thing is, I found that they keep on repeating the same movie over and over again, so if you watch TV a lot, it's really a loss.
You know, I don't. I watch sports, the Weather Channel, Fox Financial News, and I'm getting towards the end of the list now. And A&E. I watch a couple of the 48 Hours is one, and the Live Cops thing at night.
Oh, the PD?
Yeah.
I know you do because
Yep.
your son told us. I had it on when he was coming. He said, "Oh, my dad watches that."
No, I don't watch any of those. What do you watch?
Well, the first group is the Discovery Group. You know,
Discovery Channel?
the Animal Planet, Discovery. I like all those
Nature?
because I love that thing like Deadliest Catch and the gold miners and the people, all that kind of stuff. I like the Smithsonian channels. I love the thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I had a chance to hear him speak, and I didn't go to it. I wish I would have. I think he's a brilliant astrophysicist. But and I like the Science Channel. I like the Travel Channel.
Oh, you know what I find interesting too is those people that rebuild houses.
Yeah.
My wife watches that stuff, and I must admit a couple of times I've sat down and said to myself, I got to see how this house is fixed up, you know, and they're kind of interesting, but after 5 or 6 of those, you've had enough.
You know, I watch sometimes at Andrew Zimmern at Bizarre Foods.
Okay.
He's not, but you can't watch it just before dinner, because he eats the damnedest stuff. But you know, the Travel Channel, in particular, I like watching or seeing about other parts of other countries and stuff. And I'm never going to get there at my age, and I've certainly never gone to any places like Antarctica or any of them places.
How about the half-hour show that's on around 7 o'clock on one of the channels,
Forget it.
where this guy goes to all different countries and eats different foods, and it's a very popular show. I can't think of his name.
There's several of them. We watched that at 4 o'clock on Quest, 959, and we get to travel for an hour and a half between.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Did you
3 to 4:30, I guess.
did
it
you
is.
already say Andrew?
Andrew Zimmer,
No, there's Anthony Bourdain.
Bourdain. He's another travel guy. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But he
That's
doesn't
what I
eat
was
the
thinking
weird
about.
stuff so much. But this one here, there's several. There's Brisando, another him. There's Christ, the guy that does Europe all the time, Steve. There's 3 or 4 of them.
Now, this guy does a lot of Europe.
Rudy Max is another one.
Rudy Max.
Yeah.
He does those travel things like that. Yep.
Well, I've only watched a few of them because it's on opposite something I
Oh,
watch.
I was going to
but
say 7 o'clock is sacrosanct. You can't. Don't even think about
I know.
anything against
The
that Wheel of
magic
Fortune.
wheel.
Oh my
Wheel of
God.
Fortune and Jeopardy.
Yeah. Oh, we sometimes jump up from the table. We're not done eating it. Oh, my show's on. Well, I said, oh, the Mensa people.
I'll tell you. I find them both harmless shows.
I don't mind Jeopardy so much. But
No,
that
Jeopardy's pretty
Wheel
good.
of Fortune's ridiculous.
It gets a little juicy after a while.
I can't understand these people who jump up and down when they win. I don't get the purpose of that. They just
The jumpers,
more and
yeah.
more jumping up and down and laughing and
I
wiggling
think
and all
they
that.
probably asked them to
Yeah.
do
Oh,
that.
But they don't
gosh.
pick anybody that's just calm.
Oh,
They
right.
pick
I
characters.
know,
Yes.
but it's getting to be ridiculous.
It is. Well, you're absolutely right. The single largest cause of crime, poverty, and inequality in this country is the lack of jobs.
You read that again?
The single largest cause of crime, poverty, and inequality in this country is lack of jobs. That was Charlie Munger, the 93-year-old partner of Warren Buffett. Charlie Munger makes more sense than 99% of the people in the country. But he's right.
And what causes the lack of jobs?
I have another quote. Robert Reich, the former Labor Secretary,
Right?
the poor lack of opportunity in the number one cause of it. Wait a minute, let me say that again. The poor lack opportunity.
Yeah.
And the number one cause is poor schools.
I figured the education would be.
Yeah, these
for
two
prep.
these two quotes you can almost run them together. I mean, how do you get good jobs when you have a good education?
Okay, but I take issue with that
Okay,
because there aren't jobs for the common man. There's jobs for highly intelligent people. There are jobs for laborers, manual laborers, but the middle class has lost their jobs because of technology and other things that take their-
advances, yeah,
other-
robotics and yeah.
Right. The jobs just don't exist anymore. Just think about how many telephone operators and bank tellers
yeah.
and all these people who put together cars and people who worked in factories, the hat factory, the straw factory, the shoe factory, they all disappeared.
But on the
And
other hand,
tho-
there are industries that have popped up that didn't exist then,
Right.
that are now taken up. But some of them don't want to go to school anymore. For it. That's the other
Well,
problem.
And now, you're right. Some people don't want to get their hands dirty
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Do you know that in this country, if we were to, and by the way, we are building 2 nuclear power plants down in Georgia that will be coming online next year. But if another nuclear power plant was commissioned, we would have to import all the welders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't have
Because
any.
we don't have nuclear certified welders in this country anymore.
But that's a one-shot deal. That's not going to give you a career.
Well, yeah, because you got to be a master welder before you can become a nuclear welder. And there is a hell of a demand for welders now. And we're going to see it when they start repairing bridges and stuff like that. You're going to find we don't have enough welders to go around. And the same thing, too, with crane operators, bulldozer operators. You know, there's just kids don't really want to be, as my kids used to make fun of me. Oh, my dad's a wonderful guy. He sells valves. We're proud of him. They used to do that just to bust me. But there's a lot of things that are not really high prestige jobs.
But the kids have been taught that by their parents. The parents have
course.
said, go to college, get an education. Now everybody, to me now, a college education is on the level of a high school education.
Oh, yeah.
It's
of course,
meaningless.
Because there's more people going. among other things.
That's right.
And not only that, all you'd have to do is pay 4 years tuition and you get a sheepskin. You know, it's not as though they require you to work.
But it did create jobs.
You're right.
So the big question is, where are these everyday average Joe jobs going to come from?
We've got to bring industry back to this country. We have got to.
That's the crook. That's the
Yep.
answer right there.
And I think that the energy, the self-sufficiency in energy is going to create a lot of jobs in this. It's creating a lot of jobs in this country.
But you're also going to have to change the education system.
Well, you are.
So
Trade, you know what we need to do? Go back to trade schools.
Absolutely. And what did they cut out for the last 20 years was the shop,
Yeah.
home ec.
ID.
All those things got cut out because it was cheaper to buy the textbooks than to supply all that equipment and keep it running. And also you have to change the mindset of the people who are there. You can't say, and they were telling these kids, you've got to get a college education so you can get rich. And that was no
that-
longer true.
That's no longer. That's far from the truth now.
Of course it is. Become a plumber. Okay?
Oh, my
And
God.
become a good plumber.
You
and
make more
before
money
you know
than-
it, you're hiring people in your big plumbing house and you're making money hand over fist.
Any of the trade, the electrician, the plumber, or any of the
Yeah.
skilled trades.
Yeah, my kids have friends
Yeah.
that are electricians, they're plumbers, builders, carpenters.
And more are going to be in demand because as the population ages, they can't. There's
Don't
no
do it
more
for themselves.
do-it-yourself.
That's right.
You're
And
absolutely
it
right.
becomes more complex that you can't do it yourself.
You
Right,
know,
right.
my wife and I were talking about that because we had looked at the houses for sale here in Norfolk, and it's a fieldstone cellar. It was like my grandfather's house, a fieldstone
Yep.
cellar, because people built their own houses, you know, and they made do with what they could find. So that doesn't happen anymore. There wasn't, in 1926 when Grandpa built the house on Main Street, there wasn't A&B Construction Company or Jack the Carpenter's company or the plumbing company or the wiring company to come in and do it. You did it yourself, or you found somebody else that was handy
Yeah,
and
do
you hired
everything.
them
Yeah,
to do it.
exactly.
But you can't do that today. You
Nope.
have to have a license. You have to meet all these specifications. You have to have overview by the town.
Oh yeah, they're the towns. They've mastered in overview. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to pull all the permits for my garage in Breezeway when I did that, and had all the inspectors coming in. Yeah, that's a light bulb, all right. That'll be $50. Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was looking into having the town get hooked up for water. Just to hook me up, they would give me a license. They would have me somebody to come out and overlook it, and there was put in a valve for $3,000. Then I could hire a construction company
Somebody to come in
to
and-
do the work.
Isn't that nice?
$3,000 for what?
Amazing. You know what's a scary thing? Is I've predicted this the last few years. We're building houses in town like it's going out of style. What's going to happen in one of these cluster zoning areas where they pound 75 houses in an area where they used to have 12? What happens when the toilets don't flush?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's going to be a lawsuit against the town because they're going to say, you gave me a building permit. You gave me an occupancy permit. Now my stuff doesn't work. Fix it. And then we're going to be faced with town sewerage. And you think the tax rate is high now?
Oh,
You think
my
your tax
God.
bill is high now? Gabungo, right out of sight.
We got the potential. I'm not going to get too specific, but you know where I mean. That it's being built right now, and it was perked after 2 years of record drought.
Yep.
The water table had never, I don't think, in the history of Norfolk been so low. Well, of
Oh,
course,
I think it had,
or so,
but not
recent
within
history.
recent memory.
Yeah. Of course, it perked well. Now you put those houses in there, get a few years of normal precipitation, and a couple of, God forbid, a couple of heavy precipitation. Just like you said, the toilets aren't going to work.
And then the fun begins.
Yep.
And we built houses on ledge in one part of town.
Yep.
And all we need there is too much
Yep.
precipitation.
And the water builds right up on the top of it. and-
Yep.
I don't know what happened at the top of that Meeting House Hill, but I know that there was such a commotion that the town had to take over their water system.
I don't know about it.
Yeah. The
Well-
town now owns that water.
Up.
I don't know if it's sewerage or
Whereabouts you talking about?
across the street,
Yeah,
at the top of
okay.
the hill.
Yeah. So, well, this surprise is on the horizon, I think. Well, anyway,
William,
yes.
bucket
go-
list.
Oh, the bucket
Don't
list.
forget the bucket list.
Don't forget the bucket list.
I got two.
Go ahead, start off.
All right, I got two bucket lists.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
okay.
All right, they're not big, but one of them is, I call it a maybe. I can maybe do this one. The other one is called, I'd love to, but no way in hell. Okay, let's start with the maybes.
Okay.
Well, we want to do the European river cruises that you see.
Yeah.
Like the Viking cruises.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them out there now.
Yep. And those are boy, that looks great.
Me too. And at our age, you look at, we've never been on a real cruise, on a cruise ship, But now you get to see all these ads for these monster ships. There's 5,000, 6,000 people, and they got rock climbing walls. They got surfing things. They got these things where you go hang out over the ship. I'm not doing any of that.
No.
And I'm not putting up with 5,000 other people that want to do it and getting in the way. I want something I can sit back, have a cocktail, and watch the scenery go by.
Absolutely.
Still, this is, Monica thinks I'm crazy, still would like to have one more high-performance car before I kick off. Maybe not for more than a year and I'd be tired of it, but just take that edge off.
Do you know the Lincoln brought out the new restyled Continental?
Yeah.
They got the 3.7 high-performance V6 in it with 2 turbos.
2 turbos, yeah. Double
they say
turboed
that,
on it.
That one will move right along.
Another thing I want to do is the hot air balloons. I'd
Okay.
love to. I did the glider, the sailplane. Took that with lessons, got to fly that thing. That was excellent. We did that at Plymouth. But I want to do a hot air balloon yet. I'd like to go back to the Caribbean. And this time I think St. Martin instead of Aruba. We've been to Aruba so many times. And we haven't been down much on the West Coast. I don't know a lot about California. I don't know a lot about Oregon or Washington, just in and out type things. Another one. I did do that Trans-Canadian Rocky Railroad.
Yeah.
That looks like a really good thing to do. Now here's one that's really dumber, but it's possible. I know people. There's a restaurant down in Rhode Island called Nordic Lodge. It's probably the wasted money that you're ever going to do.
What's about $95?
Yeah, $80-some.
Yeah.
But it's the ultimate in restaurants.
That's the old Custies.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. And you look at it. You want lobster? They got lobster. You want crab legs? Crab legs. They want a steak. You want filet mignons. You want oysters on half shell. Whatever you can imagine.
All you can eat.
All you can eat.
All you can eat.
Oh.
I can't eat that much anymore, but just the idea to do it one time, I don't think it's a terrible waste of money. Now, they actually bring in tour buses. And you see senior citizens on. I said, what in the hell are they going to do there? They don't eat much.
And not only that, but guess what they put out too? It's salads.
They
yeah.
tempt you first to eat that kind of stuff, yeah. And last night, it's possible, and I've looked into this one, is there's an air combat school in Nevada, and they got one in California. They want it right outside of Las Vegas. And what it is, they got Air Force trainers, prop, and it's a side-by-side setup. You go to ground school for a day, and the planes are equipped with laser-fired weapons. And there's another student and another one with the instructor. And you do air combat.
Well,
Cool.
And they
now
really,
what's that? T10s?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they are. They're fast,
Yeah.
multi-bladed props
Yeah.
on them, and
Yeah.
fully aerobatic. And they warn you, if you think you're going to pass out or throw up, this is not for you. Okay, this is the list that I'd love to, but there's no way in hell because some are impossible.
Oh, I thought that was that list.
That was the one I thought could maybe do. Okay, well, here. I always wanted to fly in the Concorde, but that's gone.
Yeah.
Or now maybe another SST. It's a experience. I've seen these things that you could, if you had a gazillion air miles, you could trade it in to go to Delta or American's flight school.
Yeah.
And put 2 hours in their trainer and fly a 747, with the computers. That looked cooler than hell, but there's no way in hell we're going to get that. I would like to fly back seat of a supersonic jet. Every once in a while, when the Blue Angels would come to Quonset, they always take a newspaper reporter, and usually some 80-pound girl from Channel 4, and they put this suit on her, put her in the back seat of an FA-18, and with the experience. And she always looks like this table when she comes off. She doesn't remember anything because she passed out the first time they pulled 6Gs, and she threw up all over inside the plane. But that I would like the chance to pass out and throw up all over inside the plane. And this one's dumber than hell too. I like to drive a train. I always wanted to be an engineer in a locomotive, but it ain't gonna happen.
My Uncle Happy was an engineer for the old New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad.
See, to me, that
He
would have
used to
been
run right by here.
If it wasn't a commercial pilot, that would have been the #1 job for me.
I didn't put this on my bucket list, but I've always wanted to drive a tractor trailer, just
Oh,
to
yeah.
see if I could do it. And I've driven every damn thing imaginable, because my stepfather had a gas station.
Yep.
And we never had cars, new cars, or even nice cars. We had stuff that he'd bring in and was too good to junk. So he'd fix it up and put a repair plate on it. That's what we'd drive. I swear to you, I've driven one of everything. And then drove the wrecker, and in the Army I drove up through the 5 tons.
Well, okay.
Never driven a tractor trailer.
Nothing with a tandem or
Yeah.
the split.
Yeah. But
I don't have much of a list. I found a hard time trying to think of it, actually. And I said, you know, really to make a bucket list, you should be like 30 years old and start then, so you can get to do all these things. It's kind of late to do a lot of these things. I have been up in a hot air balloon a couple of times. And when I went up in New Bedford, I asked the guy what the best place would be to go to a hot air balloon, which is, I guess I'd put on my bucket list, and he said in the Alps.
The Alps. Oh yeah, I've seen films of that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now one look interesting they do over the plains of Africa someplace, and they're flying over in the morning over the elephants and stuff. But I don't want to go to Africa.
No, no. The other thing
I don't
was,
want to eat
I'd like to sail the British West Indies. No, the British Virgin Islands.
Okay.
That'd be a gorgeous thing to do. Been more down to earth. Like I'd like to learn how to make bread successfully, and I'd like to be married off my son, get him out of there.
There you go.
So that's about
that's
it.
it. Okay. Well, a couple of thoughts I had, and then I'll get to mine. But I was assailed by a woman last week who
Wasn't me.
took me to task for my remarks on tots. But
On what?
Remember when I was talking about the tots? If you are on television and you dress like a tot,
Okay,
make
yeah,
up
yeah,
like a
yep.
tot,
Oh, yeah.
short skirts, 4-inch heels, you are a tot.
The Miley Cyruses.
Yeah. But anyway, but it wasn't the sexism that got her. I kept referring to the talking heads on television that dress like that
Yeah.
on Fox News as girls. And her remark was, when in hell are you gonna call us women? You did it just on with the, oh, there's a girl in the back of the chat.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
probably home grinding her teeth
Yeah,
right now.
I'm a journalist. No, you're not.
So, anyway,
You're eye candy.
I aired that complaint. I probably won't change anything I do or say, but we've had the grievance aired.
We used to watch the 5 at around 5 o'clock or
Oh,
6 o'clock,
yes.
and they always got the one in the end.
Yep,
We
with the legs.
Call her legs. That's what it is. I say, Monica, come here. Look at the shoes legs got on today, and they usually got spikes. They got heels about this big, and she says she does not walk in them. She just puts them on to sit there. She
Yeah.
says nobody can walk in shoes like that.
Yep. And by the way, have you ever noticed that her leg is spring-loaded?
Oh,
It never
wing,
stops.
wing, yep.
That's what I was wondering when I watched those weather reports, whether you guys are actually watching the weather or you're watching the women.
Well, there's one.
I think it's probably a combination of both.
There's one on what is 840, which is NECN News, that I must plead guilty to watching her rather than the news. She's pretty cute. And the the traffic reporter in the morning on NECN, I don't see any of the traffic at all. She's superimposed over it. I mean, she is amazing. But I take her seriously,
The weather
though, as a
girl on
journalist.
Channel 25, they were asking where they went to school. And she went to where I went to my undergraduate school. So I said to Monica, I think I knew her in school. She's like, hell, you might have knew her grandmother. She said,
Women are mean.
I know it.
Well, my bucket list. Oh, and one other thing I want to comment on is the Alps.
Yep.
The single most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life was, well, all right, I'll back up into this. In the Army, I finagled my way to Europe by volunteering to be a Catholic chaplain's assistant.
Okay.
They desperately needed chaplain's assistants. So when I went over there, it was great, good duty. And then they said, there's a retreat for a week up at Berchtesgaden, which the U.S. Army Rec area, which is just shy of Hitler's
Eagle's Nest up there.
Eagle's Nest and all of that. So I said, I don't know about a religious retreat. He said, well, let me tell you what you do. You go to a couple of classes every morning about how to help the chaplain, the paperwork, blah, blah, blah. And then about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, you're on your own. And you go down in the village and drink beer. I said, I can handle
I
this.
can handle that. Yep.
So I went on it. And they get you up at 7 o'clock or so for breakfast. And the sun coming up, you can't see it. It's still sort of semi-dark on the ground, but the tops of the mountains, snow-covered, and the sun is hitting them. The most beautiful sight I've ever seen. Yeah, amazing.
Sort of like that Swiss Air. Ever seen the Swiss Air ads where the 787 is flying along the mountains? A beautiful plane, and it's an ad for Swiss Air. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Yeah. So anyway, on my bucket list, I'm sort of basic. There's nothing wild here. I want to go to New Orleans one more time for about 4 or 5 days of Cajun cooking. I'll have to double up on all my diabetes medication, but what the hell, I want to do that.
And heartburn.
And heartburn. I'll tell you, there's nothing like Cajun cooking, nothing. I want to travel to the South for 4 or 5 days of Sonny's original pit barbecue meals. And some of the Carolina sort of barbecue joints, the no-name joints, the greatest barbecue in the world.
And you get to compare one state's type barbecue and the next one, and they're totally different.
That's right. And possibly combine it with a trip to Disney World.
Yep.
That was fun. And you know what? Outside of Orlando, it's country. They got some of these pit barbecues down there too.
And Popeye's chicken.
In Kissimmee.
Kissimmee?
Kissimmee, yep. I'd love to know how to legally sell my frequent flyer miles. I swear that they'll put you in prison for selling them, or take your firstborn child or something.
You can donate them, so I don't know, maybe you could use it as a tax write-off.
Yeah, but I don't have that much. I don't have that much income.
We don't have income to write anything off anymore.
No.
I don't know what you're doing
Well,
on the side.
I just know the tax. I don't know whether you can do it or not.
Now we get to, one more thing too that's basic. I've got them at home, all 193 Stooges episodes.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God.
Yep. But now here's
Well, you could combine it. You can be eating and watching at the same time.
Boy, if I could get Sonny's Pit Barbecue up here, I'd do it. So I got 2 more. The Imperial War Museum in England.
Yep. Never thought of that.
That is just an enormous undertaking. And they've got all the stuff about the wars over there. Museums.
Along with that Churchill's bunker.
Yeah. I'd like to see all that stuff. Yeah. And finally, I've read a book. One book. 50 times maybe. It's called Trap Lines North. And back when I was a little kid, 8 or 9 years old, I read it for the first time about a family during the Depression where the two boys had to go off in the woods and trap and skin out the animals, bring them back, and that's how the family lived. And they brought them back a couple of 3 times during trapping season. Now this was in the southern part of Ontario, in a part called Thunder Bay. And it's just north of Thunder Bay. And if you look on a real good map, the only town near it is Nakina, Nakina. Now, the reason it's easy to find is part of the Canadian National Railroad has a spur that goes through Nakina, and you can find it if you watch the indications for the railroads. But it's a great book, and it teaches, it talks about self-reliance and all that kind of good stuff. And I got so that every year before trapping season started, I'd read it to get the blood rushing, But I've often thought I'd like to go out there to Nakina because it's a cult that meets every once in a while and corresponds and talks about the characters in Trapline Snow.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a true story. And the two, Jim and Lindsay Vanderbeck, have both passed away. But they were like 15 and 17 when they went off into the bush and lived in the bush for 6 months, trapping, all kinds of things. Anyway, I often thought I'd like to go out there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you being an ex-trapper, some of those discover things like the below freezing, I think, is one of them, and the Alaskans. They do a lot of, they follow these guys that trap and stuff
Yeah,
up
I've
there.
seen a couple of those shows.
Look at getting marten and bobcats and
Yeah.
beavers and
Red fox.
red
and
fox, yep.
Cross foxes and all that good stuff, yeah. But anyway, I wouldn't mind going and doing that. But I've got to settle the stuff. I got to distill it on down. I think of all these things, I think I'll probably end up watching The Stooges. Get that one done.
What's your wife think of the Stooges?
She leaves the room usually.
Yeah, mine
Yeah.
would too.
I have to
It's a
wa-
guy thing.
Yeah, I watch it on
It is.
the TV upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my room. In the
I always
main
hear,
cave.
they're so stupid.
My yeah.
That's the attraction.
Yeah, I heard that. A story here that Shreveport, Louisiana was a very busy city for the Foxborough Company. And I used to go down there and work with the guys on control valves. And I can't remember his last name. I remember Kay Saffel, Charlie DeVilbus, and LDP, but I can't remember Jim. And I think it's something like McGregor or McAllister. Okay. Anyway, young guy. And we worked together. And as usual, these sort of things, we'd go down, he'd have like a couple of calls in the morning and then probably lunch with a customer, a good customer. And probably maybe one call in the afternoon, and that's it. And then we'd drink beer. So we started drinking beer, got pretty well snockered, and he talked me into buying a pair of cowboy boots. The damn things didn't fit. I didn't think I could get them off, so I bought them. But he related a story to me. And he said to me, Bill, you married? I says, I am, Jim, yes. He says, I'll give you some advice. He said, love your wife and take care of her. And I said, I do. And he said, I got to tell you. He said, last weekend, he said, I got a 12-year-old boy. And he said, I made a mess out of my marriage. He said, my wife finally left me. But I get to see my boy quite often. And it's heartbreaking to see him and not be able to be with him. And he said, last weekend, it was time for me to leave. And the boy said to me, you need to go now, Daddy. And he said, what? He says, you need to go now, Daddy. I don't want to see you. I don't want you to see me cry.
Oh, God.
You know, that stuck with me for 35
Oh, yeah.
years,
Good.
40 years. I don't know how long ago that was. But that was so sad that you say to yourself, because he told me, he said, I had a fine wife. He said, and I screwed the marriage up. All by myself. Oh, it's just stuck with me. I thought I'd share that today on,
Cheery note.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, kids are very cognizant of divorce. What mine was, but that's been 40 years ago. But he had friends that were divorced. Their parents were divorced, and I think one of his biggest fears was, other than the parents dying, was that they were going to get a divorce. And he was total. And you know how husband and wife once in a while squabble over something. He says, "Oh no, you're going to get a divorce."
Yeah.
I said, "No, we're not." It was just
Yeah. And my parents were divorced, and both remarried, and the situation probably worked out about as well as you could
Yep.
expect it to. But not a perfect situation by any stretch.
Was that traumatic for you?
I'm sorry?
Was it traumatic for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. It was tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It breaks that little secure bond that kids got, or that little cocoon they put around themselves.
What saved things
Yeah.
were we lived 2 houses away from my grandfather.
Okay. Yep.
And Grandpa became the role model, the male. He was the guy that brought me fishing. He was the guy
Yeah,
that showed
okay.
me how to trap.
Yeah,
He was the guy that brought me in.
You were
on
lucky
the
to have
train
it. You were lucky to
baseball
have that, yep.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that bridged the gap. If it hadn't been for Grandpa, things would have been very, very, very difficult. Yeah. Air travel is now a horrible experience.
As you can tell from my bucket list, I love flying.
Yeah.
I loved airplanes.
Yeah.
And now it's just, I just hate it. Gotcha. I just hate the thought of getting on an airplane again. It's just, from the time you get there to go through that damn security, and then put up with the airlines and those little tiny baby seats, and everybody is, it's like a cattle call, that guy said one day. He said, you know, this is just like, we feel like a cattle. He said, they're just being hustled around.
Condescending manner
Yeah.
of some of the help is difficult at times too. It's as though they've got a bit of an attitude always. Now, granted, things are not great
No.
for them either. Don't take it out on
Don't
me.
take it on
I'm
me.
the guy paying the freight, for God's sakes. But you know, the government did this by allowing United and Continental, U.S. Air
Oh,
and
yeah.
American, and Delta and Northwest to
All those
merge.
mergers.
So now you got 3 majors. You got Southwest, which only flies in the United States, and is the economy line. You got JetBlue, that's a niche player, and you got Alaska Air that flies the West Coast.
You
and
got the
a little bit into the
Looney
Midwest.
Spirit and Frontier.
Yeah, yeah, but and you're looking at the tiny carriers.
Yeah.
You know, the people that fly the Delta Dashes or
The
something.
feeder
like that.
airlines.
Yeah, yeah. But boy, I'll tell you, the regulators should really their feet should be held to the fire for making
Yep.
a mess out of the airline industry. But the other side of the coin is, knock on wood, it's safer than crossing the street in front of your house flying in airplanes.
That is hard to imagine.
It is.
Putting 200 people inside a aluminum tube and flying them across at 600 miles an hour is safer than driving to the airport to get there.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, you take a look at the safety record of the U.S. airlines. Take a look at the Russians.
Oh my God. Aeroflat. Good
Yeah.
Lord. They used to, right after the Soviet Union broke up and there was no regulations, they sold tickets to the bathroom. They'd sell out the airline, and then the people at the counter said, well, for 1,000 rubles, I can let you sit in the bathroom. All right,
My boss was on the 19 passenger one, whatever the hell it is, twin prop.
Yeah.
And they oversold it by one. So the pilot said, all right, hands up. Do you want me to kick the other pilot off, the junior officer off, and let one of you people sit up front in his seat? Or do you want somebody at random to be booted off? And everybody said, get rid of the
Pilots, yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. So my boss sat in the pilot seat up front. He's Alpha sit up front,
Did he have a license?
No.
No, it just is somebody where he would ride.
Now, just one more thing, and I know we got the sign-off sign. Do you know what we dodged? Here's a real and plausible happening that would have been a nightmare if Hillary Clinton had been elected. As her first act, she could have named Obama to the Supreme Court.
Yes, she could have.
Now, if that doesn't cause you nightmares tonight, think about that. And by the way, it looks as though there may be another vacancy coming up. That Kennedy may
That's right.
retire.
Yep.
And that means the good guys get to name another Chief Justice. So anyway, well, folks, we didn't get into the pile at all. So you'll have to tune in next time to find out what is left in Billy's pile.
And our piles.
And yeah, and Time Magazine is lurking over there.
And this week, or the week, is over here.
Oh boy. We'll have to start off with your pile next week.
All right. Well, yeah, I know where I want to start anyway. We got some stuff to talk about the firing of the FBI director. And
Yes,
there's some
indeed.
implications
Yeah,
there.
we need to air that stuff out. I've got that in the pile of clippings.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks, listen, thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a good time. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Take
Good
care.
night.
It's getting warmer out. Enjoy it.
Yeah.